Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsockеtradio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
Good morning. It is time for Coffee Ann here on ON, AM, and FM. Thanks for joining us. My name's Joe Callahan. Always nice to have you along with us. Across the table from me, we'll say hi to Bob Lauder. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Attorney Bob Lauder. I don't have a legal question set up ahead of time.
Whoa, great.
Well, maybe I do.
This is like a day off.
I'll have to think. I'll have to think about it. Sue Tessier McKenzie from the Blackstone Valley Calling Times is here. Hello, Sue.
Good morning.
And you want to give a first message from the paper right now?
Oh, for the love of God. I guess so.
First,
I just want to say somebody had called in and complained that I was too low on the panel or whatever. So Dave went and got me a chair that was higher.
Yeah.
However, when I sat in it, it's one of those elevating chairs. It just went down, so I'm back in the hole. But Dave tried. Yes, first message. It's been a difficult week, even though it's only Thursday. Those of you who have delivery, it's been changed to mail delivery. That comes with its own challenges, as some people need the paper in the morning, as does ON Radio, but it's not delivered in the morning unless their mail is delivered at 6 a.m., and that's not the case.
Not usually, no.
So we knew, as I stated last week, there would be glitches, and there were. Currently, a big glitch is Cumberland Lincoln. We're trying to get that rolling while they were not delivered on Tuesday. Wednesday they were delivered, but it was Tuesday's paper, and that is not what's to happen. What is to happen is you get the day's paper on the day. Unfortunately, as I said, it will only come at the time you get your mail, and there's nothing that is out of our control. So if anybody has had these issues, I'm afraid to put my phone number. You can call me at 401-487-4136. And what I am doing is calling into the main office, giving them the names and addresses of the individuals who have not gotten their paper, and they look up to make sure they are labeled as they should be.
Yeah.
The right name, the right address, etc.
All right. Get a lot of phone calls this week?
You know, it wasn't as bad as I anticipated.
Yeah.
But the reason people do call me is you're either listening here or you're at the office trying to get in a door that's locked.
Yeah.
As I've stated before, we have the office, we are open for business, etc. I am an on-the-road sales rep. I do not spend my day in the office. Christina, who does spend her day in the office, has had some medical issues that she is working through and hoping that next week things get back on track.
All right. We got no phone calls here. We used to get phone calls here about the call.
Oh, I'm sure you did.
All the time. And we're like, oh, my paper hasn't been delivered. And we're like, and?
And the phone number's nothing like the matching, you know what I mean?
They used to say, well, what are you going to do about it? I'm not going to do anything about it.
Yep.
Well, aren't you owned by the call? 50 years ago. So you're going to have to call the call.
Right.
But I guess people have learned that by now because we're not getting any of those phone calls.
Well, that's good.
One of the people who sent in the email about not getting delivery, unfortunately, was me. And it was on Tuesday, and I was saying that I hadn't gotten the Monday paper, and then my wife was saying they don't publish on Monday. So, quick to criticize with very little knowledge ahead of it.
Like a lawyer, right?
Whoa.
All right. So back into law, Bob. Here you go.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
He found a question.
Yeah. Well, in the Carrot Reed trial, 15 jurors have been seated.
Great.
In the trial. They need 12 regulars, and they want 6 alternates.
Mm-hmm.
So still a few more to go, and then they'll be ready to go and for the retrial. So, all right. So they say testimony will likely begin next week. But, boy, how dull is it just sitting in the courtroom as they try to question jurors over and over and over.
No,
Well, I would
they,
imagine those who are already seated are not sitting there in the courtroom listening to the voir dire. They're probably off in the jury room,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
reading books that they brought with them.
But now, how does it work? So most people have heard of the Karen Reed trial, and I understand that is probably the main question, followed by, have you formed an opinion type thing. So
Those are the first two questions.
But there are some cases, not necessarily this one, that they could not seat you if you had heard of the case.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they would try to get them out of state and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter if you heard about it, you just have not been needed to form an opinion.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, they haven't even gone outside the county.
Yeah, and that
others.
was back in the day. I remember many of those trials where they tried to get them out of state for that purpose.
They did have another, the Karen Reed case, Bob. I don't know if you heard about this. The U.S. Supreme Court, the top court, all right? U.S. Supreme Court has denied an emergency motion to stay or postpone the retrial of Karen Reed.
Okay.
The order from the nation's high court confirms that Reed's trial will continue. The Supreme Court has distributed the case to all justices, and they will now decide by April 25th whether to take up Reed's case. Reed claims double jeopardy over the state retrying her for second-degree murder and leaving the scene in the death of her boyfriend, John O'Keefe. You think it's double jeopardy? That she's being retried again?
No.
Okay.
The jury came back and could not make a decision.
Okay.
I don't think it's double jeopardy to do that. If she had been convicted, that would have been different.
Some jurors have submitted affidavits that they voted to acquit on those two charges, but it was never announced in court.
It wouldn't be.
Okay.
It would just be that the jury could not make a unanimous decision. Whether or not several of the jurors said she was guilty or not guilty has no bearing on the final results of the jury as a whole.
Do those affidavits have any weight going to the Supreme Court?
I would not think so. No.
Okay. It
Because
looks like
the fact that 10 jurors may have said she's guilty and 2 jurors said she is not guilty, or that doesn't change the fact that they could
has
not
to
get a
be all, but-
unanimous decision. And without a unanimous decision, they don't have a conviction or an acquittal.
okay.
But
So-
wasn't one or maybe even two weren't I gotta use the proper term, one or maybe two of those charges, they all did agree to not guilty?
I thought so.
But they couldn't.
They didn't
there
get
was
to it.
However way it was combined, it didn't count. But it was a unanimous decision. But I don't know what charges it was. Of course, we can find that.
Yeah, look that up, Sue.
I'm on it.
All right, and the other case that's going on is the one down in the North Kingstown basketball coach. You're following this
That
one
one
at all?
I've followed more than Karen Reed.
Oh, okay. Now he's supposed to take the chair to in his own defense.
Yes.
I'm like, wow, is in your opinion? I know you don't like to go against other attorneys, but is that a smart move?
I think it's the attorney's decision and the defendant's decision based in part on how credible they think the defendant is going to be and how he's going to be able to stand up to any cross-examination brought in by the prosecution.
Well, they must think they have a strong case then.
Well, they probably think that the defendant is going to be a credible witness and also that he's going to be able to respond to the cross-examination in a favorable way to himself.
It's tough.
If they thought that he was a weak witness who was going to get up there and say...
babble and fall down and cry. And
Well, not necessarily that, but somehow come out and say, yes, I did. I did everything they're accusing me of.
Yeah.
And they certainly wouldn't put him on the stand.
It's tough because there's like 20 accusers that are supposed to testify against him.
I think there's been 3 or 4
So far. More are coming.
Okay.
Who are going to attest to the same things were happening over and over and over. So
Well, each of them is going to be cross-examined and
Yeah.
determine, whether or not the jury's going to determine whether or not these various witnesses for the prosecution are credible, or if their testimony lacks viability in the eyes of the jury.
okay, Sue, what have you found?
Exactly what I thought. They had unanimously agreed in the
This
jury.
is Karen Reed now.
Yes, in the jury room that she wasn't guilty on the charge of second-degree murder and leaving the scene.
Okay,
And those are the two things they're trying to,
get thrown out.
right.
But that never came to
Bob.
fruition because the judge didn't allow it.
The judge didn't allow the initial.
Yeah. So
I would still be suspect about the affidavits of several of the jurors.
okay. Well, you'd be good on the Supreme Court, Bob.
No, I wouldn't.
Oh, sure you would.
No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't because it says unanimously right here.
All right. Well, that's enough. That's enough legal jargon for now.
Great.
Leslie, come up with something else. All right.
What good things are happening in your life?
The
Must be coming up for spring vacation for your daughter in school.
oh no, she already had it.
Oh,
Yeah, they do
spring,
early.
Spring break is in March for college.
March. Oh,
Yeah. So she had it. She came home, and she spent most of her spring break visiting elementary school classrooms because it was part of her major and it's part of what she has to do in order to graduate is just observation of different classes. So she had to put in so many hours, 15, I think. So yeah, she took 3 days and did 3 hours in grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and she took care of that.
that's dedication. I mean, that's
Well,
really
it's got to be
looking toward
done.
the-
So.
Yeah,
Right.
but a whole lot of kids on some spring break are heading down to Florida, lying
Well,
in the sun,
that's true.
drinking heavily.
Yeah.
And she was dedicated to her task.
Well, it was
Wow.
it was mentioned to her when the semester started. You know, this is going to be done this semester, and then they said most, put that in quote, most do this over spring break. Hint, 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 hint.
Yeah.
Hint.
Because when else can you? I mean,
Well, then you got to do it. You have to do it the hard way. Well, when can I squeeze it in on a Friday or a Monday? And what about the school? Do they have time? It would have been a scheduling nightmare if you
course.
didn't do it like this.
Yeah, but you still got to admire the fact she did it.
Well, sure,
In the right way.
And she had to contact the schools. It's 2 different elementary schools. They had to both say okay, and they both said. I don't know if it was one form or she had to do 2, but I'm not sure. But oh yeah, you had to come in, or she had to go to the administration building and do a Corey check.
Okay.
well, nowadays,
Now,
yeah. I
now
wouldn't-
she's asking me, what's that? Well, they want to know if you're a predator.
yeah,
I'm not a predator. They don't know that.
that's right. That's why
And
they
you
can't
fill
let.
out the form, and when it
Yeah.
comes back negative, everything's going to be fine. And it did, obviously. So
Now, what time is involved in that? It's not like a BCI check, right? I mean,
the
it's
Corey check,
yeah.
she had it done within a month.
Oh, within a month. Okay,
Yeah.
so there wasn't. I was thinking that she went the same week, and I'm like, no.
Oh no, she knew to do that like a month ahead of time.
Oh, okay.
They told yeah, do it ahead of time so we can get the information back, and that way she can wear the little visitor tag, and then she's been cleared, and everything's hunky dory. So
I don't think I'd want to sit in on a 3rd grade class.
no,
Because it's probably when you're doing long division. And I would be
I don't
feel
remember.
really embarrassed if I was raising my hand and asking the teacher how to do it again and for some extra time.
well, you didn't want to be a teacher. She does, so sitting in and
She's
she
gonna know-
knows how to do long division when it's easy enough.
Okay.
5 divided by 100.
Probably
so.
wouldn't want to sit in the courtroom, but
Yeah, but
She's-
long
she's-
division would certainly tax my abilities. That's why you have computers nowadays.
Well, right. But 5 divided by 100 divided by 5, couldn't figure it out, Bob?
I probably could, but
Take long. But it was, and every teacher was different. And some, she just sat there and observed, but others, she was involved
Yeah.
in the classroom. And, the kids are doing work, and the teacher was walking around, and she was walking around, and they would ask her certain questions on whatever they happen to be working on, other than math, spelling and geography, I guess. And she would help out the kids, and like a real teacher.
that must be so great.
Oh, she loved it. So this
because
is
that's what she wants.
This
That's
is how it's going to be,
perfect.
and it works out great because you do these observations, and now, okay, do you still want to teach? This
Right,
is what the real
right.
classroom is like now. Do you still want to do this? And the answer is yes. So
Now,
there
when
go.
you go to school to be a teacher, you obviously know which classes you're looking to do. Grade-wise.
you got to make a choice:
Yeah, that's what I figured.
elementary
'cause-
education,
Yeah.
secondary education.
Yeah, that's
Make-
what I figured.
She would like to teach the 4th grade, but
They fall into secondary.
no, that's elementary.
Oh,
Elementary's K
okay.
to 6,
Six.
I think.
That's
in,
what I
in
thought.
Mass. And I said, well, 4th, that's great, but when you come out of college, maybe they have enough 4th grade teachers,
So you'd
and
have
they
to
need
go with
they
the
need
fifth
second,
or
they,
sixth,
right, or
yeah.
second grade teachers. You got to be willing to shift. So
Mm.
I think she realizes that now. So So she did well. And I'll see her next weekend because it's Easter. She'll be coming home for that. So, and she's all excited because she's moving into a new dorm next semester.
Okay.
This is good. The dorm she's in, and some schools do this. I've brought this up before. She's in an all-freshman dorm.
Okay.
All right. Some schools do this, some do not. But Bridgewater State does. But she's moving out of the all-freshman dorm because there'll be new freshmen next year. And she's moving into another dorm, and she's moving in with 2 other girls, and they're all it's the honors dorm.
Whoa.
She's moving in with the smart people. I go, you're going to see a huge difference. The maturity level is going to go through the roof. And you're in with the people that are really taking their studies seriously. So all the shenanigans you saw with the freshmen, especially the boys, with the fire alarms going off, and let's play hall room hockey at 3 a.m. and be loud. I go, that's all going to go away. You're going to be in with people that are really concentrating on what they want to learn. So you'll see
Really
a big difference.
Now we know where the genetics in his family really comes from.
It comes from my
his
wife.
wife's side of the family.
That's exactly from my wife. I know that. I'm freely to admit that, Bob. All right, we're going to take a break here on the Coffee and program. So, Sue, time for a second message from the Blackstone Valley Call-in-Times newspaper.
Okay, so we all know about the mailing. We all know how to reach me. Should you need have any questions or you need the paper, didn't get delivery, as I said, I will take your name, your address, your phone number, and submit it to my main office. Now, on what I do for work is advertising. We have a nice Mother's Day special and Spring Home. We've got a lot of specials coming up, but the Mother's Day I like to point out specific because you enter a contest to win one of 3 prizes. So that will be up and running on April 17th, not just yet.
Right.
But if you'd like to participate, you go to www.woonsocketcall.com to enter the contest.
All right, Sue, thanks. More of the Coffee and program is coming your way. Please stick around.
Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse offers authentic homemade Polish food to make your next meal special. Try our many varieties of hot and fresh pierogies with onions and what they call dirty sour cream. Or pick up golubki, kielbasa, babkas, or some fresh rye bread. We also offer a large selection of specialty and imported foods. Open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 9 in the morning till 6 p.m., Wednesdays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays from 8 to 5 p.m. It's Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse. Follow us on Facebook and learn about our weekly specials. Located at 855 Social Street, Woonsocket, Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse has all the authentic Polish foods you love.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-230-2777. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-230-2777. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-230-2777. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-230-2777, 800-230-2777, or biglou.com.
The Coffee and panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee Roasters. All their coffee is roasted right here in Rhode Island. Down East Coffee Roasters is available at all Little General stores.
ON, AM, and FM.
Have you heard of Scott McGee with RE/MAX Properties? He's been selling real estate in Rhode Island and Massachusetts for the last 17 years, and you can see that he loves what he does. Scott, as well as his team, take pride in what they call the fair and honest team. No gimmicks. And no, they're not buying your house if it doesn't sell, etc. Just fair and honest real estate. Scott personally works with tons of sellers and buyers and specializes in residential properties as well as commercial, and he's always very fair and offers super competitive rates. Remember, this is probably the biggest move in dollars that you will ever spend or receive. You want to go with a trusted and experienced agent. Scott is fair, honest, and modest, always puts the clients first. And he also dealt with literally almost any situation. You really need to look at your real estate needs as a business. You want to pay and get the right money now so that you're not paying for it later. Trust me. So why not give Scott McGee a call at 401-639-2906. That's 401-639-2906.
It's Coffee and on ON. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Sue Tesser McKenzie and Bob Lotter. And it was just this tragedy down in the Dominican Republic.
Oh my God!
Of that nightclub. Did you hear about it, Bob?
Yes, the roof collapsed.
The roof collapsed, and more than 120 people
Dead.
died in this jam-packed nightclub, the Jet Set nightclub. And one of them that passed away was owner of two restaurants on Federal Hill.
Yep.
Fray Luis Rosario. He owned Terra Luna Cafe and Terra Negra Cantina on the Hill, and he was an active member of the Federal Hill Commerce Association. So wow, and two Major League Baseball players, retired Major League Baseball players from the Dominican.
Right.
They were there too, just having a good time, and they died too.
Wow.
Along with quite a few others. So. It's just huge. Oh, and Pedro Martinez came out yesterday. He's got family members.
Yep.
That are still under the rubble.
Oh my goodness.
It's like, wow, this is big. So, and it's going to get worse. When they do finally get to everybody.
What I'm seeing, and I'm probably seeing it wrong, it looks like cement that they're picking up. But it's a roof collapse, so I'm a little bit confused. But it looks
did it
like
collapse the whole building after a while?
It didn't.
No. Oh, the
Based
walls?
on what I could see on the pictures, let me get that for you. The possibly on one side or whatever, but I'm going to pull up the picture because for the most part, so you see the building and you see the roof that has partially missing. So there's still a portion of the roof there, not a big portion, but still a portion. So I don't know.
Wow, it's a shame that it's too early to tell. They haven't been able to tell you why it collapsed. Usually, you hear about these things. Well, there was too much weight on the floor, and the floor collapsed. This is the roof, unless they were on the roof.
Right. That's
which is possible. I guess there's rooftop bars and things like that. Maybe it was just too crowded on top, and and the whole thing just came crashing down.
Well, no, because one of the images you see is the band was playing on a stage, and that was definitely not on the roof.
They weren't on the roof. Okay, they were inside somewhere.
They were inside, and you see.
But it's like a 6-story building, wasn't it?
Stop. I don't know.
Or it's not a one floor.
If
thing.
it's a 6-story, that would explain the cement.
Yeah, it's a pretty good sized building.
That would explain the cement.
So yeah, wow. All right, well, Sue looks that up. Here.
I have a question for Sue, though. She used
okay.
some of those magic words I like to hear.
Like what?
Free prizes. When you were doing your commercial.
Yes.
What are the Mother's Day free prizes?
Well, it's not free prizes. You have to enter to win.
Okay.
And one is Foxwoods Getaway. One is, and the next two are gift certificates that, let's say you win and you want to get a gift certificate to New England Steak and Seafood. We then go and buy that gift certificate from the restaurant.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
These sound like good prizes.
I think it's 150. I don't have the flyer in front of me, but the first one is Foxwoods.
A stay at overnight stay at Foxwoods?
Yeah.
That's
now,
pretty.
did you give
that's
us
pretty
the
cool.
money?
Yeah,
to,
that
to
building was
gamble as
tall.
Well?
No.
Oh, rats. Okay.
It is a tall building.
That is, yeah. That explains it because
Yeah.
this picture is one that I had not seen.
Okay.
The one I'm looking at. The ones that I had seen did not look like that.
Okay. So it was a rather tall building.
Yes.
Alrighty. All right, back here in the States, back here in Rhode Island, both senators from Rhode Island, Jack Reed and Sheldon Whitehouse, they're in favor. They're supporting the senator from Vermont, Bernie Sanders. His bill, he wants to increase the minimum wage to $17 an hour by the year 2030. Apparently, the federal minimum wage right now is still $7.25.
What?
That's the federal minimum wage. I don't know what the Rhode Island minimum wage is. I think it's
15.
higher than that. But federal minimum wage is only 7.25, and that was raised. It was raised to 7.25 in 2009.
Oh my God.
So they're basically saying, hey, it's time to bump this thing up.
Well, that was only 16 years ago. I mean,
But how many people still fall under that? I'm curious. In other words, if the state has their mandate.
Well, right, but some states, and I guess not Rhode Island, but some states just follow the federal,
Okay.
and we'll just do what the Fed minimum wage is. Of course, they're going to have trouble getting employees
I was just going to say,
stick
do they have
to-
anybody living there?
if they stick to 7.25. But
well, I
but
would
they want it to
imagine
go to
in
17.
some of the Midwestern states or Western states, which are much larger in dimension than Rhode Island is,
Yep.
if you're living in the center of those, you're not going to be traveling a large, 50, 75 miles just to get a higher minimum wage. So you may be earning that small amount of money.
But the cost of living would also.
Well, that's what they're saying.
Well, I'm not
Fluctuate.
sure how much the cost. Food wouldn't fluctuate. That's going to be pretty standard throughout the country. Maybe rents
Well, not
would
necessarily, because if you're. It doesn't cost to transport certain produce, for example, extra because you're right there. So some things would be cheaper. Like people always say, oh, you can't move there. The cost of living is too
Too high. Yeah.
That's what I'm referencing. I have a friend that is selling her home in, want to say it's Georgia, part of Georgia, $165,000, and you should see the house. Here would be $400,000.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's part of what I'm saying with the cost of living in different states. So minimum wage could, in fact, be reflective of that.
They're just saying that in today's economy, nobody can make ends meet if you're making 7.25 an hour.
No.
That's probably true.
Gotta agree with them on that. So, all
I'm
right.
going to look that up and see what states still pay $7.25 an hour, because that's insane.
You'd like to know which ones are doing that, huh?
Yeah.
The research she does, and she's right here.
I know.
This is amazing.
Isn't it great?
Yes.
All right. Well, it's like the story's like you hear like when a firehouse catches on fire. Mm-hmm. But this was a crematorium caught on fire down in East Greenwich, a funeral home and crematorium. Now, the fire didn't start in the crematorium part of the funeral home.
Okay.
It started in a chimney. It was accidental. It started in the fireplace in the chimney area of the building. But they have to demolish the building. This is the Hill Skeffington Funeral Home in East Greenwich. The building's a complete loss. They gotta knock the whole
Was
thing
that
down.
relation to the baseball guy, Skeffington?
I think it is, but I'm not positive on that. I believe so. So they've had to move all their funeral services to other funeral homes down there in East Greenwich, so they can keep having them. And the owners do plan to rebuild this specific funeral home.
That's a very nice professional respect that the funeral homes to have down there, that they would allow a rival to come in and use their facilities during the time of reconstruction.
Well, because
You don't see that all the time in other businesses.
Well, I think you do. Banquet halls, for example, when Lincoln.
Oh, and that's right. Had the trouble with
Kirkbride.
with the Kirkbride had trouble.
I've dealt
with
with
their
it
weddings.
a lot with regard to flooding. Not so much
Yeah.
fire, but a lot of flooding in facilities that I'd get a phone call saying, okay, the reception had to be changed to X. And people do step up to try to.
Especially when it involves outside people,
Absolutely.
like for funerals and weddings.
Right.
It's really affecting. Yeah, it's affecting us because we own the building, but it's really affecting them.
Yeah,
who
you're
want
trying to
our
help somebody
service.
else.
Yeah.
Is basically it. I got the answer.
Okay, what's the answer, Sue? What states
So,
still pay 7.25?
The question
an hour?
was, what states follow federal guidelines?
Yeah.
As of April 10th, 2025, the states that follow the federal minimum wage of $7.25 per hour are Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, South Carolina, and Tennessee.
Wow. Okay, all down south.
Right. So shouldn't these people be putting up a bill?
Well, this is going to be. Well, you think so? Why is Bernie Sanders doing
Right.
it?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
You're right. There are others. It just says that because the story is related to Rhode Island. So Jack Reed and Sheldon
Okay, I see
Whitehouse
what you're saying.
are supporting it. They're in support, as well as others are in favor of measuring, but they don't say how many others there are. And
Right,
they're probably
because
the
it
senators
doesn't.
from those states.
Right, should be.
Yeah.
So I get the support part.
Okay.
I get that.
Very good. We're going to take a break here on the Coffee and program and more coming your way. Time for the weather forecast being brought to you by Compassion International. Today, mostly sunny, high near 51. South wind 5 to 8 miles per hour in the afternoon. Tonight, mostly cloudy, and there's a 60% chance of a mix of rain and snow. Low temperature around 34. South wind around 6 miles per hour. Friday's weather, cloudy skies, rain and snow likely in the morning, then a chance of rain in the afternoon. High temperature will be near 46. Friday night, cloudy skies and a slight chance of rain and a low temperature around 36. Saturday, mostly cloudy, showers likely before 11, then some chance of rain in the afternoon. High will be near 42. Sunday, mostly cloudy with a 50% chance of showers, high near 49. Outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio, on the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street, sunny skies and 40 degrees. Thousands of kids are in poverty, have waited over a year for a sponsor, end their wait today. Become a Compassion sponsor. Text radio to 83393.
Checking the entertainment at Chan's on Main Street in Woonsocket. Well, I'm sorry to tell you that tomorrow night, Friday the 11th, and Saturday night, April the 12th, same show, both sold out. Anthony Gomes, sold out at Chan's. Looking ahead to next week on Friday the 18th, Bruce Mattson Band, Chris Kane's in on the 19th. Also, Monster Mike Welsh on the 25th of April, Little Miss and the Boom on Saturday, April 26th. And up ahead, we've got George McCann coming in, Jan Moretti and Brasilia with special guest Christine Fawson on vocals and trumpets. Great music, great food. Chan's, 267 Main Street, Woonsocket.
Are you looking for solutions to meet your business banking needs? At Milford Federal, the longest-standing community bank in the area, they offer customized solutions for commercial lending, cash management, online banking, and payment processing services. Their business banking team is committed to the growth and success of your business with local decision-making and a relationship-based approach. Let Milford Federal be your banking partner. Visit them at milfordfederal.com today. Milford Federal Bank, our community, your bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, and MLS number 465956.
Hello, this is Kevin Callahan. Join me and Pat Holland in the Cheap Seats with Pat and Kevin. Sports Talk every Saturday morning at 9 here on ON, AM, and FM.
Coffee and on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. This is Joe Callahan here with Sue Tesser McKenzie and attorney Bob Lauder. And Bob, time for our first message from your law office, please.
Good morning. Thank you. This is attorney Bob Lauder. I'd like to talk to you this morning about a decision rendered by the Rhode Island State Supreme Court just 2 days ago on April 8th, which deals with the presentation of evidence at a civil trial. That case is known as Roman versus the City of Providence et al., where one of the defendants was K. Scott Construction and Disposal, Inc. The action began when the plaintiff, Susan Roman, slipped and fell on untreated ice and snow at the Dr. Martin Luther King Elementary School in Providence. The plaintiff was injured and brought litigation against both the City of Providence, as the owner of the property where the school was located, and Scott Construction and Disposal, which was hired by the city to remove snow and ice from the school property. A hearing was held in the Superior Court upon the defendant's motion for summary judgment. Now, as you may recall, a motion for summary judgment is a hearing challenging the legal foundation of one of the parties to the litigation. It's basically a hearing wherein one side argues that even if all of the allegations of the opposing side are true, there is still no legal precedent upon which to base that side's moving party. At the hearing, the Justice of the Superior Court applied the theory of the Connecticut rule, which holds that a landlord's duty to remove snow and ice arises only after the storm has ceased and a reasonable time has passed. At a second hearing, the justice ruled in favor of the construction company, determining that it did not owe a duty to the plaintiff because it was not authorized to begin snow removal until sometime after the plaintiff's fall. In its review of the Superior Court, the Supreme Court vacated the judgment which had been granted in favor of the city and found that the plaintiff should have had the opportunity of providing evidence that she slipped and fell on either pre-existing ice, which could have incurred the liability of the city, or upon freshly accumulated snow and ice, which would have negated the liability of the city. The Supreme Court affirmed the decision in favor of the construction company and found that it did not owe a duty to the plaintiff because it was not authorized to perform the snow removal until after the time of the plaintiff's fall. If you think my office may be of assistance to you in legal matters, please call me for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer. The Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
Just shovel your snow.
Yeah, but the problem is you had the snow.
Yeah.
It was cleaned up. Then it melted. Then it froze.
That snowed again.
No, before it snowed again.
Oh,
So you
okay.
still had, a week went by
Yeah.
where the ice, it melted and put ice. Because I was thinking of what people do in that case.
Bob, just to let you know, it's tough to be a lawyer. You never know what people are going to do, because there's a man in Stanley, Wisconsin. He's already in jail, but he got more jail time because he tried to hire a hitman to kill the prosecutor that originally sent him to jail.
Wow.
All right. Jay Conklin was convicted to a 40-year sentence for 2 child sexual assault cases. Police said that 2 inmates told him that Conklin was trying to get them to kill his prosecutor. Police said Conklin, acting like one of the inmates' cousins, he told them to make it look like a suicide. So you wouldn't get in trouble.
I'm surprised he didn't include his defense attorney in that particular
He went after the prosecutor. So anyway. Okay, joining us on the phone right now, let's welcome in Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee. Dan, welcome to the Coffee and Program. Nice to have you with us.
Welcome. Tough to keep track of that bouncing ball that you were just talking about. I think it was like in a podcast. Murder, She Wrote or something like that.
Something like that. So Attorney Bob Lauder is here. Sue Tessie McKenzie from the Blackstone Valley Call and Times is here. And they may throw questions at you as well, okay? If they come up with something.
Excellent. Good morning.
All right, good morning to you. So the first thing I want to go, we did get an email, not an email, a press release, I should say. And it's about your attendance up. And one of our schools in our listening area was the leader of the week. Burrillville High School had a 95.7%, I guess, attendance record.
Very good.
Fantastic.
That's great. They're great for them.
Well, yeah, we're working with all the municipal leaders, all the schools, along with Commissioner Fonte Green. We have this Attendance Matters that dashboard that we track chronic absenteeism year over year and week over week. And then we highlight the top 3 schools in the state that are on attendance and the top 3 schools that have improved attendance. And it's really working very well. That the people are become a lot more aware how important it is. If your kids, your child's feeling good enough, they should be in school. And Woonsocket is an area that we're focusing on as well. I was just talking to Mayor Beauchamp before this call. We'll be up there, really, focusing on the fact that attendance really does matter. And the outcomes in the schools are a direct result of the, in many ways of the attendance. If you don't show up, it's difficult to, know what the lesson was the day before if you're not there.
Correct. And what I've seen at some of the schools, mostly the elementary schools here in the city of Woonsocket, they all have their signs outside saying what school they happen to be. But on the sign, a lot of them say attendance matters as a constant reminder.
Yeah, well, right now we're the only in the people in the country who has a live dashboard that anybody can go to, any parent can go to see their specific school, or any person in the community want to see how their community's doing. But yeah, that awareness really does bring a focus in on the issue, and we've just kicked off, which will be starting a Math Matters strategy now. That we're ready to kick that off in a real strong way on a statewide basis. And then the other piece that I'm working on that we're ready to announce is that I really want to connect in with third grade parents. So if you have any listeners out there that wanted to work with me to help their child, prepare in the out of school time frame, we're partnering in with municipal leaders and local leaders to make that happen. I'm going to do that on a statewide basis. We'll start with the third graders this year, and then we'll move them up to the 4th grade in September, and then we'll do another batch of third graders. Eventually, we'll have a full cohort. They'll really start focusing on how important this education is, and I think that if we set these goals, that we work at it, that our communities will get stronger as a direct result of this focus on learning.
Your Honor, what is the actual hands-on component of what you're talking about? How are the teachers and the parents actually going to become involved in this? Are they going to have sessions after school? Are they going to have meetings? What's the real parent and teacher part?
And Woonsocket's central in this. I mean, you know that I have a lot of interest in my second hometown, being in business there for all these years. And so what's going to happen is it's a multiple of things. One is obviously the work in the schools is the primary work, and we got to rely on our teachers and our administrators to really engage the families. But this out of school block time, that's a space that we all can own, right? And we're opening up these learning centers all around the state. This is in progress now. 22 learning centers are on the drawing board or in construction, and we'll use those learning centers as part of the out of school strategy, just like I did in Cumberland as a mayor with the Office for Children with Learning. And we're setting these goals, and we need community buy-in. So the only way you're going to get community buy-in to help us meet these goals, whether it's in the business community or whether it's in the families or whether it's in the general public at large, we have to let people know we're setting these goals to help our kids reach their potential in and out of the school, and then we're putting resources in to do that. This next step is we'll be announcing this parent engagement with our office, with the local municipal leaders, is something that we're going to be working on going forward. But that attendance matters is part of it, really focusing on that, just like you did. This Math Matters, which is coming out now, which is going to have a big kickoff of that. That's coming up very shortly. All the kids of 3rd to 8th grade in our communities are going to be taking the RICAS math test, in the next couple weeks. Well, we want people to really aware of it, prepare for it, do your best. No pressure, just do your best, and prepare to be able to do your best. So it's an all hands-on effort. What we're calling Learn 365 RI, and if anybody interested, they can go to ri2030.com and to see this multi-year plan, and then on the education, David, it's highlighted right there in terms of what we're specifically talking about. So that'd be the best place for anybody listening that wants to kind of take a look at the Rhode Island 2030 plan and how Learn 365 fits into that.
Okay. Any follow-up there, Bob?
Well, yes. When you're talking, Your Honor, about a math center, the math center apparently is going to be taking place after the end of the regular school day. Who is going to be actually staffing this math center? Is it going to be teachers? And if it is so, are they going to be financially compensated for their extra work? Is it going to be parents? And how do they get compensated in any way? Or is it going to be some outside agency or individual who comes in and assists the students in the math center?
Well, the partnership is with the municipal leaders. I have 38 out of 39 municipalities have signed compacts with me to help us achieve the goals that I just talked about. And what we just did, and I think Woonsocket, I'm not sure what Woonsocket received, but we're in our budget. There's a line item that we put in place to help support these out-of-school strategies through the municipalities. Right now, Math Matters, the math focus, and communities all around the state of Rhode Island are receiving $50,000 type of grant to actually facilitate a short-term program on math. So it could be partnering in with the schools. It could be partnering in with the Boys and Girls Club, which is happening in Woonsocket, in the absence of these learning centers not being open yet. So it's in our office, I have a couple educators in my office that are working directly with the municipal leaders, so that whatever we're providing in terms of short-term programming is really educationally sound. And then multiple communities, we're working directly with their school districts. The Math Matters program, what we're going to be kicking off very shortly, is going to include all these math teachers from all over the state that are really excited about having a focus on math, and that we'll have a open type of event where we'll be bringing in hundreds of people to talk about this and really communicate this. And part of the communication is what's happening this morning, me talking about it. So yeah, the actual content of the educational strategies will be professionally done. And the partnerships all look differently in all these different communities, because we know every community is a little bit different.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Coffee and Program, Governor, so just hang tight for a minute. And, Bob, time for a second message from your law office, please.
Good morning. Thank you. This is Attorney Bob Lauder. The second slip and fall case I'd like to discuss with you this morning involves the concept of attorney work product. Now, attorney work product generally refers to material prepared in anticipation of litigation, including documents, tangible items, the attorney's mental impressions, conclusions, opinions, and legal theories upon which an attorney is going to be representing the client. Work product generally includes, but is not limited to, documents, texts, software, research, reports, proposals, specifications, planned notes, images, pictures, photographs, surveys, materials such as that. The Rhode Island case, challenging the scope of attorney work product, involves a local country club, which was being sued by an individual who alleged a slip and fall as a guest. It's known as the case of Mile versus the Kirkbrae Country Club, and it was decided 2 weeks ago on March 24th. The case arose when Miss Mill, who had been attending her daughter's wedding, alleged she slipped and fell. She brought litigation against the country club seeking compensation for her alleged injuries. The plaintiff learned that the defendant had video surveillance of the incident, and the defendant claimed that it was not likely to had to release the video to the plaintiff's attorney because it was considered a work product privilege. At the hearing in the Superior Court, the justice ruled for the defendant and ruled that they did not have to release the video to the attorney for the plaintiff. The plaintiff appealed this decision to the state Supreme Court, arguing that the video was taken at the time of the incident and prepared in the regular course of business prior to the onset of the litigation. The Supreme Court overturned the decision of the Superior Court and ruled in favor of the plaintiff, finding that since the video was not recorded at the request of the attorney, the defense did not meet its burden in establishing the right to non-disclosure in the first instance. The video was made in the regular course of business and not at the bequest of the attorney after the fact, and therefore was not to be considered protected under the work product theory. If you think my office may be legal assistance to you in this or other legal matters, please call me for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer: the Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
All right, Bob. Well, thanks for coming, and I know you got to get to court, so say bye to the governor.
Goodbye, goodbye, Your Honor. Thanks. It's great to have you on the program. I hope you come back soon. Thank you.
Well, Bob, thank you so much. It's great being on WOON. We are pleased to be here. Thanks for your work you do.
All right, we'll be right back with the governor and Sue and myself here on the Coffee and Program. With spring revving up, now is the time to get your motorcycle ready for the season. B&B Motorsports on Social Street in Woonsocket has everything you need to get your motorcycle and equipment running smoothly, including tune-ups, maintenance, and repairs. Looking to update to something new? B&B Motorsports carries over 350 motorcycles in stock. And if a new helmet, gear, or accessories are what you're looking for, B&B Motorsports has those too. Cruise on over to B&B Motorsports, 372 Social Street in Woonsocket, your Rhode Island, Honda, Kawasaki, and Suzuki Motorsports dealer.
O'Reilly. Check engine, ABS, or maintenance light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. The service is free and provides a report with solutions verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we could recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Bring spring to your door with Target Circle 360. Get all you need for Easter hosting, spring get-togethers, and more with unlimited same-day delivery through Target Circle 360. From Easter basket goodies to fresh florals, getting everything the same day is easy. Open the Target app and bring the magic of the season to your door with unlimited same-day delivery through Target Circle 360. Visit target.com/circle or the Target app for more details. Subscription required. Same-day delivery is subject to terms. Applies to orders over $35.
Hello, my name is Paul Lavallee. I'm a Knight of Columbus with Woonsocket Council 113. Our annual Palm Sunday breakfast is April 13th at Good Shepherd School Gym, 1200 Mendon Road, Woonsocket. Tickets are $15, children 5 to 11 are $10, Under 5 are free. Menu consists of scrambled eggs, home fries, baked beans, French toast, sausage, coffee, and juice. Tickets can be purchased at St. Joseph's Rectory or any member of the Knights of Columbus. My phone number is 401-651-5533. Thank you for your support.
It's Coffee In on ON. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Sue Tessier McKenzie. And joining us on the phone is Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee. And moving on to other subjects there, Governor, any thoughts on the hands-off rally that took place last weekend in Providence?
Yeah, so Joe, I think that the uncertainty that's coming on our way from Washington and the Trump administration is certainly creating a great deal of anxiety, and I think that's what you saw in that rally, there's uncertainty on issues that have to do with education right now, or some of the Medicaid issues that people rely on. So I think what you're hearing is a public voice expressing their that they certainly are disturbed by the kind of the lack of consistency that's coming.
Right.
And the unknown. I was talking to the President Paxton at Brown University, and now it's rumored that they might be having $500 million clawed back on things that they're going to invest in, and it's going to help the state of Rhode Island. They don't know whether that's going to happen. So I think that's what you saw reflected. My role is to make sure that as we just got with the $220 million for the Washington Bridge. I was on the call with Secretary Duffy, the new Transportation Secretary, last week, and confirming that those dollars are going to be advanced to us so that we can do the infrastructure work. Another $250 million, which is now in the pipeline that was approved. We got to bring that to the table. So we got to just take a lot of this uncertainty that's really unsettling to people out of the mix, and then I've got to focus on doing my job, which is to continue to try to create opportunity in the state and figure out how you're going to work through, a time frame that I don't think that we've ever really gone through before. The tariffs are on, the tariffs are off, the stock market's up, the stock market's down.
It's all over the place.
It's just all over the place, and I think that's what you're hearing from people, and I think that rally was reflective of that.
Okay. Can you tell us just what, because we always hear about, the federal government's going to cut this, they're going to cut that, they're going to cut the other thing. What cuts will be affecting Rhode Island? Do you know of any?
Yeah, that's the unknown. Is it's difficult to respond. I've had people say, well, what's your plan? Well, once we know what we got, then we're going to know what the plan is. But right now, yes, there are areas that we're in conversations on, but they're not concrete. So it's like I talked with the Brown University issue, right? That's not a given. It's just being discussed. We've got the same thing going on in our emergency management, where there's potentially questioning on some of the funding there, which is going to impact all our municipalities in a negative way. If tens of millions of dollars are delayed or withheld. The same thing's happening in our Department of Health right now. We had a little over $30 million that has been frozen that could impact some jobs that, quite frankly, they were jobs that were going to be, expiring to a certain degree at the end of 25, 26 because those were COVID dollars coming in, but still will impact the services that we're providing and potential jobs. So, it's the uncertainty that I'm living with, that everybody's living with, that is creating a high level of anxiety. But like I said, what we're doing is making sure that the billions of dollars that we got in the pipeline and public and private work, school work, we've got a school construction going on in Woonsocket right now, right up there and Park Square. We want that to continue, keep people working, and then let's see what we get once it's a lot clearer.
Okay, but basically you say the money for the Washington Bridge reconstruction, that's still coming, right?
That's confirmed.
Okay,
I've
good.
worked through. I've sent a letter to Secretary Duffy explaining that this was appropriated. We're in the process of expending dollars on those projects. The same thing on the 15 bridges on Route 95. That's $250 million that has not been formalized yet from this new administration. But I believe that it will be in short order. Yes, that's the job I've got, Joe. Right, is to make sure that the dollars that have been committed, federal dollars, are here, and then anything that's going on inside of the new administration, I am connecting in with the secretaries, with the cabinet members, to have discussions about anything that's being rumored or anything that is potentially coming our way, for us to kind of make sure that Rhode Island is protected and the taxpayers protected.
All right, and as long as the money keeps coming in, because they're working on Route 146, Sue, as you know, is the craziness in North Smithfield. I don't know how often you drive that way, Governor. But
that's why the governor's on the phone.
Yes.
But as long as the money's there to keep that going, good.
That's that's my job.
Yep.
And so, and I can tell you that not only am I working with the Secretary of Education, I had a direct phone call with the new Secretary of Interior, which is Doug Burgum. Doug was a former governor that, professionally we're on a first name basis. We just got to keep the open lines of communication, and then find ways. Like I'll have the HUD director here because the housing is so important. I've had conversations with the HUD director, the new HUD director. I expect that we'll have a direct conversation with him in the next few weeks, and then outline things that we're doing on housing. The things that happen in Woonsocket on housing or anywhere in the state. We just got to find that, which I consider like this common thread, even though that politically we may not be aligned in some ways with the new administration. But I think everybody wants to see good things happen, and we just got to find out ways to do that. Like I was at a dinner with my wife Susan a few weeks back at the White House with the president and the first lady, and I sat at a table with Secretary Rubio, Governor DeSantis, Attorney General Bondi, along with our spouses, and it was we have a direct conversations. We got to make sure that the conversations continue and the communications continue so that we can have Rhode Island benefit in any way that we can with any administration, and including the current administration.
All right, another question for you, Governor. We've had the stories come out of Massachusetts, but it's in Rhode Island as well, and it's the story of it was a student at the Rhode Island School of Design that had their visa revoked by the federal government. Has the school reached out to your administration seeking any kind of help that they would need to help out this student?
Not that I'm aware of. Although we had the National Lieutenant Governors Association in town yesterday with Sabina Matos, we actually had a buffet that we had there last night when we're going through all the what a spectacular place that is. By the way, have you ever been to the art museum that's there? It's unbelievable. They got Picasso's. They got but I haven't had that conversation yet, and we know that that's part of this other uncertainty, right? Is that and we're taking a position where, look, if there's criminals and they have due process that ICE has in terms of retaining, we're going to work with them. But we're not going to be profiling out there and your family or my family or anybody's family.
Right.
So this is a little unsettling, again, where people are going on campus and removing people, or with this immigration issue where they're rounding up people, but we have people who are not even part of the the gangs in El Salvador or in a prison in El Salvador right now. This is very disruptive, and so people who see that happening, Joe, say, "Oh my God, is my family being targeted?" And that creates a great deal of anxiety in people. So we got to just work our way through these issues. Take it on those things. Take it one at a time. I know that in some cases, if someone is not here legally and they're being disruptive in a way that they're overstaying their welcome, then fine. But at the same point in time, we got to keep the courts working on this thing. That's really the biggest line of defense to protect our democracy. No one would want any of their family members to be picked up on the street and then for unknown reasons. And that's happening, and that's creating a great deal of that anxiety I'm talking about.
All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for the show. So thank you very much for calling in, Governor. Now, I'm going to send an email to your people, but I'm going to formally invite you right now. A week from Saturday, on April 19th, we're having our annual Senior Resource Fair at the Woonsocket Lodge of Elks, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. If you can fit it into your schedule on that Saturday morning, we'd love to see you come up.
I've been there before.
Yes, you have.
Let me see whether we can fit that in.
All right.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That would be super. Well, thanks.
All right, Senator, thank you, and Joe, thanks, and thanks to WOON for having me on regularly. This is very helpful for me to kind of be talking to people in Woonsocket area and your listening audience. So thank you.
All right, Governor, you have a great day, okay?
Right back at you.
Thank you. Bye now. And we are done with the show. And we thank the Governor for joining us this morning. We thank Bob Lotter for being here. And Sue, thanks for being here as well.
Thank you. Have a good rest of the week.
All right.
It's just you and me, Joe.
That's right. I'm Joe Callahan. Have yourself a great day. And stay tuned for Gary Smith and the crew. Do you remember is coming up around 9:05 right here on ON Radio.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. President Trump says